Hey, we're live. Welcome to another Nerdstalker interview. Good morning. This is Greg Gloria, aka Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerdstalker Media Network. Today I'm pleased again to talk with Robert Pratten, the founder of Transmedia Storytelling Limited, which makes a product called Conductor, which is a subscription-based service that allows anyone to write, manage, deliver, and measure engaging interactive social entertainment that spans online, offline, and mobile platforms via what they call the genre called transmedia. Today we're diving into the transmedia storytelling and TV. So you guys know about the Game of Thrones, right? So the Game of Thrones is popularized here in the U.S. through HBO, but Game of Thrones is really around the world. And today we talk about what Canal Plus in Spain did for fan engagement of the Game of Thrones through transmedia storytelling and social media. So let's introduce you a little bit about Robert. If you haven't caught a lot of our broadcasts, we've had Robert on the show a couple of times. But Robert has established himself as a thought leader in the field of transmedia storytelling through major contributions to this ever-evolving field in the areas of new business models, development process, and documentation. That's what we're going to get into today. And he's also author of a book, Getting Started in Transmedia Storytelling. So if you really want a good book to kind of get you grounded, get the book called Getting Started in Transmedia Storytelling, a practical guide for beginners. So anyway, good morning. Well, good afternoon, Robert. I forget. Thanks for joining us here.
Rick.
Yeah, live from the London, UK. So appreciate that. So let's get into this. I was going through your case study on the Transmedia Storytelling Limited website, and it seems that the Game of Thrones in Spain, where people were using kind of like social media, like Twitter to fight for thrones or to give input into who should be on the throne for each one of these 19 regions. Facebook to kind of give updates to the Power of the Thrones and some, working on the weekly missions. And then people in real life were actually going into stores to get these online codes to redeem them for game rewards or something like that, and inputting them to the website. So can you talk a little bit more in depth about this whole kind of transmedia experience and how it evolved with your client, Canal Plus?
Yeah. So this was for season 4 of the Game of Thrones, and we were invited to come up with some kind of experience that would engage audiences for 10 to 12 weeks while the show was on. And Canal Plus is a subscription channel, so people pay a regular sort of monthly fee in order to get all the services, and they really wanted to give something back, to sort of reward the fans for being subscribers. Now, if you were a non-subscriber, you could also get involved in the experience, but this predominantly had been set up to reward those who were subscribers. And they, like in commercial terms, they didn't say to us, we need to pick up another 10 subscribers or another 200 subscribers off the back of this. This was about giving back to the fans that had supported them thus far, into it. So the first thing we did is we, thought about, what is it that we like about the Game of Thrones? So there's 3 of us on the project internally at Transmedia Storyteller Limited, myself, Belen Santuariala, and Eduardo Iglesias. And we said, well, what is it? Well, Game of Thrones, it's about betrayal. It's about capturing territory. It's about everyone you love always being killed off. And so we said, how can we create a game around that? And we came up with this concept called 19 Realms. So Spain is divided into 19 counties or 19 regions, and we said, what if your goal was to become king of Spain? If you fought for one of these realms, if you fought for one of these counties, and then that gave you an opportunity to become the king of kings, and it's pretty much the story of Game of Thrones. So we created, I guess you could say it was at the core piece, this massively multiplayer online role-playing game that was all based on Twitter. So you could use tweets to attack people, but you could also betray them, you could seduce them, you could give your money away. And if you wanted to be a casual fan, like let's say you just watch the show, you're not like the hardcore kind of Game of Thrones person that's read the books and sort of dress up at the weekend in medieval outfit. You could just, lie back on the couch and send a tweet to attack someone. That would be fine. You could contribute, but if you really wanted to get into it, and almost 6,000 people did want to really get into it, they registered at the website where they could register for membership of a particular family. So you would say, I'm a Stark or a Targaryen or a Lannister, Greyjoy, whoever, and also for a region. So you might be a Targaryen in Madrid or a Stark from Barcelona.
I see.
And then what would happen is every week, an hour before the show went out, there was a massive battle that we used to call, player versus realm or realm versus realm. So you would fight for the Targaryens to conquer Barcelona or to, retain Madrid. That was the idea. And after that hour, the battle would be ended, and as the dust settled, we would find out who was still alive and who would be nominated king of that particular region for that week. So someone would be king of their particular, county in Spain for a week until the next week, and then finally, in the final battle, just before the last show aired, the final winner was the King of Kings, and Canal Plus paid for that winner, who actually lived in the Balearic Islands. They flew him into the centre of Madrid, where there was a live coronation and over 1,000 people turned up to watch this live kind of fake coronation. And what was particularly fun for us was that the real King of Spain had abdicated 2 weeks before our coronation, so that was was like a PR sort of gold mine that we hadn't expected. So that was quite nice. But
nice timing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had no. I think he probably saw the show, decided his time was up. We're going to come to get him. We're going to come after him at some point.
The power of transmedia, my friend.
Exactly. So it wasn't just all fighting. If you registered at the site, then you were able to see your own profile, and you could look at your strength, stamina, wealth, and your health. And so what you would have to do is make sure you had enough strength to fight the battle, make sure you were healthy enough to survive attacks, and of course your strength, meant that with each tweet you might do double the amount of damage. If you had more strength, one tweet might be more effective than 5, for example.
So you would send a tweet towards your foe or something like that.
Yeah.
And within that tweet has keywords, I guess, that
exactly
would allow you to battle him.
Yeah. So I might say. Yeah, I might say, at 19 Realms, which was the domain, seduce at Social Greg, and so then you would get seduced by me, and that might weaken your defenses. It might kind of power up mine, so you could get killed through seduction if you had enough people seduce you in one evening. You could find that. So you was too weak to compete.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work, but in real life. But okay, I can think of a couple things. But okay.
So we in order to prepare for this sort of weekly battle, there was also this midweek ongoing strategy game. So you could buy potions, for example, that protected you against seduction, or strengthened your sort of blows. So you could buy potions, cloves, you could buy swords and shields, and these were things that you would accumulate in order to do battle. The way that you got the financing in order to buy these cloves and swords is that you could go into online stores or go into real world stores, and let's say you went into Best Buy, and you might see like a poster, a specially designed poster for this 19 Realms experience, and it would, there would be a different story every week and a different code, and it would say, here lies the merchant that's been attacked by bandits, and you look around his body and you find 5 gold coins, and so here would be the code. You enter the code into the website, on your mobile phone, and that would unlock the currency for you. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same every week. So if you went into a different store, they might only have 2 bronze coins, or they might have 10 silver coins, and we kept sort of mixing it up and jumbling it around because we wanted people to be able to share the codes. Because here's the thing, we wanted to create a game that was a lot of fun to play, but the reason for creating it was to generate a lot of conversation around the show and to get fans to connect with each other. So in that regard, I think the seductions and the betrayals and the ability to give coins were actually more important with regards sort of overall objectives than necessarily just doing the fighting. Because it's only sort of some people that like fighting all the time. Everyone else likes socializing or exploring. And so in creating this game, we sat down and looked at all the 4 different player types and said, what can we give for each of these player types to keep them engaged for 12 weeks.
Wow.
So so it's it was a full-on role-playing game that we created. It took us about 4 weeks to put together, and on the Conductor platform, and then off it went. I mean, we did all the game mechanics. We designed the concept. The graphical front end was done by Canal Plus themselves. They did that in-house, and then the website that we had was built by a French company called Dehouty. So they have an interactive web building product called Raconteur, which integrates with Conductor through our API. So what would happen is if you'd registered at the site and you could do this thing cara, like a face-off, player versus player type look. So I could go on and say, show me how with Social Greg, and it would bring up our 2 profiles. It would show us the badges that we'd won up to that point, what our comparative strengths and everything was. Well, all of that data was held in Conductor, but it was the Raconteur software from Dehouty that was dragging it from the database down our API and sort of making it look pretty on the website.
I see. So Conductor was really kind of used as the smart back end, if you want to call that, to keep data, as well as it has all the game mechanics in it as well, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it's got all the game mechanics, it's got all the audience data, what points they've won, what badges they've got, and so on. And it's also got all the content. So for example, in addition to Twitter, we had an in-world Facebook page called 19 Realms, which acted like a town square. So when there were announcements to be made, either in world, about what's coming up, we would make that there, and Conductor can listen for feedback from the Facebook page. So as people commented, we could reply back, and the more that people engaged on Facebook, they got rewarded with additional sort of virtual currency. So they were kind of incentivized in a small way that the more active they were in sort of helping to build the community by talking to each other and getting involved, then they'd get a sort of a daily increase in their wage. That's the way we sort of pitched it, in order to be able to spend more on these different virtual goods. So it was interesting, and I think when going in, when we sit down to design a game like this, you think to yourself, well, how many people of this audience are going to be familiar with role-playing games? And we thought, well, it's the Game of Thrones. Probably quite a lot. I mean, it's you could imagine, if it was a different audience, if it was Mad Men or the Real Housewives of Orange County, probably fewer people were into role-playing games. But we thought we were on a good thing with Game of Thrones. Well, we created a strategy guide, and it was beautifully illustrated by Canal Plus. So we told them what went in it, all the sort of the game rules and such like, and they put that together. And we also scripted 5 webisodes, and this introduced a fictional character that was kind of like a mentor character throughout the game, who available on social media to help people, with the different things,
Nice.
different questions and so on. And this character was active in the web series, so you'd see him with his dog through the forest or sharpening arrows and this type of thing, and it was really good. It's proper full-on kind of web series, but the objective of it was really to get people thinking about their strategy for
I
their
see.
gameplay.
So what we were having this role player game run in parallel with the series. Now it didn't affect the series outcome or each episode every week, but what it is, it uses all the characters in the series to create this role playing game, right?
Well, actually,
Yes.
in creating the story world, we had to avoid the Game of Thrones characters. So although it was notionally set in Westeros, we didn't know how the web series was going to play out. And so we didn't know what characters were going to get killed off that season or anything, so we didn't have access to that. So what we had to do, I've been told to lower my voice, so like,
telling the president to lower his voice. Okay,
so
I
I'm
like
just going to tell everybody.
What kind of company are you running there, Robert? Just kidding. Go ahead.
So I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, no. We were talking about how I was
about the web series. Yeah, about bringing So the characters from the show weren't actually featured in anything that we put together. So this was almost like a story world within a story world. So people could recognise it as being part of Game of Thrones, but they would also accept that this was something separate as well, so that they could enjoy the books and the show, and we was adding something new.
Got it.
Just a second.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, he's got props, I think. I think he's going to give us some props there, yeah.
So so you could think of it as like this massive bit of sort of expensive fan fiction, because it was a homage to the Game of Thrones without it being the Game of Thrones. And so this was something that the fans, recognised was something that they could own, that it was something that had been created for them, and they really got into it. I mean, they totally saw what was going on there. It's not like it needed a lot of explanation, because no, it was good. It was really good. And every week on Facebook there would we would put out some sort of challenge. So we would say, like, this week we want you to come up with special weapons. Like, what weapons would you design for this role-playing game, and what would their strength be, how much would they cost, what sort of damage might they do. And we had like some brilliant things come in. So and then another week we might have some sort of like maze that they had to solve. Here's Edwig, he's got to get across Westeros to this sort of special place. What's the best way for him to get there? And we had opportunities for people to contribute photographs and stories. And we had one guy who was playing as Bruce Wayne within the Game of Thrones. So he would turn up as Batman. He created these sort of hybrid Batman come Game of Thrones weapons and cars and so on. And we asked, there was one week we said to people, send us a photograph of you with the sort of 19 Realms logo next to your sort of a local landmark, because remember, this was about people being proud of their local territory and so on. So you'd have a woman there with a crow's head, with the sort of the museum from Bilbao in the background, and then the guy from like Bruce Wayne took sort of photoshopped this photograph with the bat torch shining into the clouds, and instead of the normal bat sort of image was this logo from the 19 Realms.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, this guy took it seriously as well, and like he was offering protection for people, that if they gave him money he would work as a vigilante to protect them from attack.
Yeah, Hitman in the Game of Thrones. I love it.
No, it's really it was really amazing. There was somebody set up a group for Lannisters, and she said, like, we're loaded. if you come and fight for Lannisters, we'll pay you all as mercenaries. Because the
Wow.
people really got into it. And when like the people that got crowned king, let's say every week, um, on the Facebook page they would say, as your new ruler, I promise to be, benevolent for all those who, and it was really good. They really got into the sort of the language and the style of it. So I think for 12 weeks, these fans, this almost sort of 6,000 fans, really really using nations to imagine that Westeros had come to Spain.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really incredible. I think it was a really good thing we did.
Now, what do they do now? Okay, the series stops. Does this game continue, or how did I? The problem is you've built up this community now, and they're into it. Now, I mean, if it was me, man, I would say, okay, when's this series coming on? What am I gonna do next? And I mean, how do you continue this kind of buzz that now you've created?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I guess from the beginning they knew that it was going to come to an end because we said we're going to crown someone as King of the
Mm,
Kings, and they're going to get
mm,
this live coronation in Madrid. So
got
they
it.
knew that it would eventually end. So
I
that
see.
was,
So
that was
that's the
handy.
closure. That was a closure then.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, what was quite nice for us though was a couple of fans created their own Facebook group called "I Survived the 19 Realms," and they went. They're still sort of hanging out there talking about it. I think
Oh
if
my
they,
God.
yeah, I think if they're Game of Thrones fans, they've gone to the regular Game of Thrones Facebook page and everything like that. And we hope that maybe we can do something next year. I don't know what we'll do. We probably have to do something different rather than do the same again. I don't know. It depends on Canal Plus.
Yeah. Wow. So that's God. That was great because if you go to your website, you get a pretty nice overview on a single page PDF of this what you guys did. But I mean, I really liked how you described this kind of in depth behind the scenes type of stuff, and it makes a lot of sense now. And after I once read your kind of one pager on this, and then you talking about it was a pretty cool project actually.
I think so. I think as well, like when we looked at like the brand integration. So Canal Plus, they want to reach out to other audiences, and one way to do that is to piggyback onto other people's audiences, where you find a sort of mutual overlap. So with the retail stores, there's people there that like Game of Thrones. Maybe they'll also come over and be Canal Plus subscribers. I don't know. That wasn't necessarily an objective, but they certainly wanted to reach out and find people to play this game, and rather than just put up a regular poster saying, "Oh, the show's live now," this was an invitation to take part not only in the game, but it was a story artifact living in the real world. I mean, these snippets of stories look like a piece of parchment that was, supposedly nailed to a sort of tree. So everything was in world, as far as we could. And even the online stores, we said to them, right, you've got this role to play. You're going to be the brothel. So
Mm,
everything that you say on your social media channel needs to be in keeping with that, of like activities that are happening inside the brothel, and we would give them a weekly code that
I
was
see.
intended to be found somewhere on their website, and that would translate into currency, and then we could promote the sponsors by saying, hey, there's money out there to be found at such and such an online store, or such and such a real world store. So we were sending people there to get the currency, and if they were in store and they saw the posters, then they'd come back to us.
I mean, yeah, if I, what I was thinking about doing is actually trying to map out how the interactions went because it 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 was simple yet complicated in a way that they actually were playing this game in the real world, if you want to call it, right? So that's kind of the cool part. This is all done in the real world. It was using web interfaces, but this was all done in the real world. So um, yeah, I kind of
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. So anyway, well, thanks. I appreciate that. Let's shift gears real quick and talk about this upcoming conductor conference in transmedia that you're holding in October. Want to plug that a little bit before we leave the air here?
Yeah, thank you. So October 17th in London, we have the Conductor Conference, and we're bringing together artists, sort of producers, and academics to really talk about the hows of, the how-tos of transmedia storytelling. So there's lots of conferences out there on the agenda, and often people are talking about sort of visions and stuff like that, or opinions. But we felt like we wanted to put something together that was for people that want to sort of deepen their practice, that are interested in transmedia storytelling, and maybe they've done some transmedia storytelling, and they want to know, how can I take it to the next level? Like, what are the techniques I should be using? Like, what should I be thinking about when I do such and such a project? And so that's what we've got. So the speakers are actually giving some insight into their creative process, by breaking down a project that they worked on and said, this is how I approach this. So we're going to talk about Game of Thrones. We'll talk about maybe how we did the game mechanics. Like, how do we decide how many points we're going to be awarded for such and such a potion, and so on, and how did we actually go about organising the live event and getting this, how did we envisage the user journey from when they first know about it to get them online and then get them into the store and so on. So it's a very practical course, and I think transmedia storytelling is one of those areas where it's such a fringe, and you could be living in a town and think, like, what is this that I'm doing? I don't have a name for this. It's not quite filmmaking, it's not quite digital, it's a bit of everything. And then you go, oh, this is like a transmedia. It's transmedia that I've been doing. I didn't realise there was a name for it. Right. And so people come together and they feel this camaraderie, because it's sort of either misunderstood or not so well understood, and then to get together with everyone who's sort of working in that area, it's a very nice feeling.
No, yeah, we talked about that last month, about this conference coming up. So it looks like you're going to be getting busy in the next few weeks here. You're closing in on the last month here before the storm kind of comes together. But
yeah, putting the finishing touches to it all.
Yeah, no, that's good. I appreciate that. I think it sounds like an exciting conference for people who are creatives who are beginners in transmedia, as well as people who want to extend and, as you said, kind of deepen their practice in transmedia storytelling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be good.
Okay, well, anyway, I'll let you go. It looks like the people around you want to work. Just kidding. But anyway, thanks for the interview, Robert. I always appreciate having you on the show here and talking with us about your passion in transmedia storytelling. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay, well, yeah, that was Robert Pratten, CEO and co-founder of Transmedia Storytelling Limited, changing the way the Game of Thrones was played with Canal Plus in Spain. So anyway, I appreciate it, and thanks for joining us there. This is Greg Gloria, aka Social Greg on Twitter, for the Nerdstalker Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful out there. Thanks, Robert. Have a great day, and good luck at the conference. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.